Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is seriously the most requested video ever, and it is my 1 year with my Fitbit Versa recap. I got the Fitbit Versa like literally about a year ago, like it was this time in April last year, and I did the unboxing on camera. Like seriously, I had never looked at it before that. And you guys absolutely loved that video. And I got so many comments, DMs, emails, all of that, asking for another update. So I posted one about 3 months later. Since then, I have been getting emails, Instagram DMs, Instagram comments, ton of comments on my other videos, on that video, everywhere on YouTube, asking for a 1 year Fitbit update. And I'm happy to say it's finally here. So, for those of you just joining, I will link the other two videos down below. I think I'm gonna take this video and break it into the pros of the Fitbit Versa, the cons, answer some questions you guys have sent me, and then just give like my overall thoughts. So without further ado, let's talk about the pros of the Versa. One of the biggest pros with the Fitbit Versa, again, I have the rose gold one, is honestly, how it looks. I can't tell you how many people, strangers, coworkers, friends, family, has said, oh, I really like your Apple Watch color. People tend to think it's an Apple Watch at first, but it just looks so good and sleek and professional. And well, it happens to match my sweater, so that's always good, but it just looks really, really good in general. And people always have really good things to say about it, and then it immediately sparks the conversation of like, oh, how do you like your Fitbit? I'm thinking about a Fitbit, all of that. Another nice thing is it does have the interchangeable bands. This is the band that came with the Fitbit, but I do have another band. So the Fitbit band, as you can see, has like rectangles, kind of. And I have another band that's like circles, and that one works fine. So the interchangeable bands is a really nice feature. You can dress it up, you can make it more sporty, whatever you like. Another pro is the Fitbit app. I've had a Fitbit for almost 4 years now. I had the Charge HR before this, and now I have the Versa. And I just like the app in general. It's easy to use. It has everything that I need. Pretty centralized, pretty easy to find, flows really well. Another thing I really like about this is the phone notifications. So I am someone that almost always, unless I'm expecting a call, has my phone on silent. And even when my phone's on silent, I can still get notifications on the watch and it doesn't buzz, which is also really nice because a lot of times I don't want to know I have a notification. I just want to like check it and be like, oh, cool, no notifications, or like, oh cool, new email. And you can set it up. So those are really, really nice. And the quick replies, I have like set up quick replies based on what app I'm using, whether it's a text app, email app, Google Hangouts app. So that's also really convenient that you can set up replies based on which application you are using. I use the quick replies a lot. Actually, it's really convenient. Oh, and just to clarify too on the notifications, you can't answer phone calls on this. Like it'll tell you when you're getting phone calls, but you can't like actually answer it because the watch itself doesn't have the data service in it. Another two nifty features are the alarm feature and the timer feature. I've used the alarm only a handful of times. I typically prefer either my clock or my cell phone, just because I like the noise of an actual alarm, but it's worked well every time. And same with the timer and the stopwatch. That's really nice. One for running, but two, like if I'm cooking, I can just set the timer on my watch, walk into another room, and then it'll vibrate on here, so I don't have to worry about like not hearing the timer on the stove. One of my favorite apps on the watch is actually the weather app. You can see the weather for the next 3 days, I think, and then of the day you're in, you can see it for the next like 6 to 8 hours. I use that all the time. I use it almost every single morning. I use it basically anytime I'm about to go outside. I just do a quick swipe, look at the weather, go back. It's really, really convenient. Speaking of apps on the watch general is really easy to use, really pretty, very simple. Everything's convenient, everything makes sense. It has all the information that you need. So like you can see, I have the clock here and I have some stats on the bottom of the screen. If I swipe up, it can see like my steps for the day. and a bunch of other useful information. It shows me like my recent exercises, my heart rate. Something else that's nice too is the exercise option. I really like that. I actually use the treadmill one a lot. It's really nice. It'll like show me my pace. Same thing with the running. There's a bunch of other ones. You can like set up to 7, I think it is. This again, the user interface is just really easy. It just gives me all the info I want in an easy and compact way. So another big thing, especially when it comes to watches, is the battery life. So Fitbit advertises 4 days of battery life. Even after a year, that's pretty accurate. I get between 3 and 4 days. Again, I normally have my phone notifications on silent, so like it's not vibrating. So I think that helps a lot. But if I'm doing like a lot of exercising or using the timer a lot, it kind of normally lasts around like 3 days or so, but I get between 3 and 4 days out of it. Like in a year, I really haven't seen a decrease in battery, which is pretty impressive. So the overall state of the watch, the hardware itself, it's really held up well. I think I mentioned this in my 3-month video, but I actually bought screen protectors and I haven't once put them on. I guess I in general take decent care of my electronics, so maybe that's why, but I mean, when you wear a watch all day, every day, even when you sleep, I hit it on things, like it gets bumped around a bit, and there are no scratches. There gets like fingerprints and stuff, but there's seriously like no scratches, nothing on it. It's holding up really well. The band is still intact. It's not super dirty. Sometimes like after a run, I have to like clean out the holes on the band because they'll just be like kind of sweaty. So those you kind of have to stay on top of. But other than that, the hardware and physical watch has held up really well. So speaking of hardware, the actual watch software has held up decently well. It reboots every now and then, however, which I want to talk more about in the cons section. But in general, when I want to track exercises, use the alarms, use the timer, check the weather, it all works and it responds to me well. So overall, the software is working pretty well, minus a little hiccup, which I'll talk about shortly in the cons section. So in general, when it comes to fitness watches, fitness gadgets, any sort of fitness application, a lot of times people get them because they want to help better themselves or pay more attention to their well-being. I can personally say this has helped me out a lot. When I got this watch, I was training for my first ever 10K, and this really came in handy, especially with the exercise feature, because I would track my runs either outside or on the treadmill, and I could just look down at any time and see my pace, see how many miles I've done, how much total time I've been running, and that's really useful just at a quick glance, get that information and continue on my run. So that was actually a really, really awesome feature, something I did not have on my old Fitbit that really came in handy for me. The food like database section on Fitbit, I think I may have mentioned this before, but that's really good and pretty accurate, and I use it a decent amount. Same with like the water logging, like the water intake tracking. I use that a lot. That's really nifty. And then just having the Fitbit in general makes me more motivated to get my steps, because it's so easy to flip the watch and I can see that I have 4,485 steps today and it's 7:06 p.m. So I need to get moving. The Heart Association recommends 10,000 and this really does motivate me to do that. It reminds me every hour to take more steps. You can choose to turn that off if you want, but that always helps me just remember, okay, I'm just gonna get up and like do a lap around my office, you know, stop and say hi to someone, but just get that exercise in. Okay, so now the not so great section, the cons. So overall, the cons list really isn't that long, but there are just a few things I want to mention. So I said before, the software will automatically reboot on the watch. I don't know why, but about 6 months ago, so I had the watch for 6 months, it didn't happen. Then about 6 months in, I started doing this thing where the watch just like randomly reboots itself, totally unprompted. And I first noticed it because the watch vibrated once, like a very short, quick vibration. And I was like, that was weird. And when I looked at it, it had like the Fitbit logo on the whole watch face, and I couldn't interact or touch it. And after about 2 to 3 seconds, it went away. The watch came back perfectly fine. It does this about 2 times a day now. Normally, I don't even notice it. I don't even feel the small vibration, and if I do, I know that it's just a quick reboot. It hasn't happened during an exercise. I don't know if this is like a planned reboot, or like I hit something, or it's accidental. My guess is it's just accidental. It's never happened while I'm exercising, which is good. It's normally when I'm just sitting there. So it also could be I never let the battery fully die before charging it. Like I normally charge it when it gets like 5%. So maybe that could be why the watch just needs to reboot once in a while and I never let it. I don't know. Honestly, the biggest problem I have with the watch is like syncing. And I don't know if it's my phone, I don't know if it's the watch, but about every other day I have to restart my phone to get the watch to sync itself again. It just like stops syncing with the phone even though I have constant sync on. So I don't know what that's about, but about every other day I have to reboot the phone and then it works fine. And then about 2 days later I have to boot the phone again, and I don't know. This watch itself does not have built-in GPS, but it does have GPS if you exercise with your phone with you. It'll like sync up the map. So once or twice I've gone on a run and it just totally lost my map data, which was a little bit of a bummer, but in general it syncs up pretty well and the pacing is pretty accurate. Another thing that's kind of a bummer is there's still no Spotify integration. There's Pandora and something called like DZ, which is like, they must have some sort of deal with Fitbit, because I've never heard of them. So overall, a lot of the negative stuff is just that like it randomly has issues syncing, but I want to make this clear, I've never lost any data. It's just that like the watch and my phone aren't in sync for some reason. Like it doesn't mess up the time, but just like my data, I go open the app and it's like, oh, I don't have data from yesterday, that's weird. And then I like force sync and then I get it. So it's never lost anything. Okay, so a couple questions I've got, I'm just gonna read them off. One person asked me if the clock widget can be changed. Yes, it can. As you saw, I have like this really colorful, fun one. It can just be changed like right on the app. If you just like go click on your tracker, there's like an option for clock faces. And you can just change it there and pick whatever you want. And the different watch faces have stuff to like show just the clock. You can see different stats from your steps to calories, all of that. So it's really unique how much information you can really get from the watch face if you want. I got a question about a screen protector. I know I talked about that a little bit earlier. I've got screen protectors and I still haven't put one on. I found it's really durable. I mean, I don't go like slamming into things, but for the most part, I literally have no scratches on the watch and I've had it for a year, so it's held up really well for me. Okay, the next question is about the Relax app. There's like a built-in app on the watch called like Relax. I've used it a couple times. It basically guides you through, I think it's a 2-minute, maybe 3-minute breathing session, and it just does like guided breathing, tells you when to inhale and exhale, and it vibrates every time you change between an inhale and an exhale, which is really nice because like you don't have to look at the watch, like you can just keep your eyes closed. Okay, someone else asked me what the battery life with a bunch of alarms is. I've only had one alarm at a time and it's never like, it's literally hasn't made a difference in my battery. I mean, I could see if you have like 10 to 15 alarms going off at different times of the day and you like don't snooze them, like the watch will basically just be always vibrating, but with one alarm, it's perfectly fine. Someone else asked me if you could connect a Bluetooth speaker to this. Unfortunately, you cannot. It has Bluetooth, but it can only sync up with the phone. So overall, even a year later, I still really, really like the Fitbit Versa smartwatch fitness tracker. For $200, I think it's a good deal. But overall, I really do recommend this fitness tracker smartwatch if that is what you guys are looking for. It really helps keep me motivated. It's stylish, it's fashionable. It works well. The syncing problems are a little bit of a hiccup sometimes, but again, I've never lost data and nothing glitches in the watch. It's just when I open the app in the phone, it might not have my steps from yesterday and I just have to force sync it. That's really the only negative drawback I have. And again, the rebooting twice a day, it typically stops working for less than 10 seconds and I don't even know it's happening, and it never interrupts any of my exercising. So again, I don't really see that as a huge deal, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some good information out of it. As always, please feel free to comment down below any questions, email me, Instagram, DM me, whatever you want. I'm pretty available, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye!